This is your macroeconomics video on gross domestic product, part 2. So if we continue on our definition of gross domestic product, I want you to remember that it includes goods and services. And it's very easy for us to talk about goods that are being made, tangible things where a business purchases parts and they put together some product and then they sell it to a consumer. But students often forget about services as well. The US has a very large services-based economy, and some of these things are intangible, like cell phone service or cable service. You can't really see it, but it's worth something, which is why people pay for it. People also provide legal services to others, or they create websites for people. It's not necessarily a physical product as similar to maybe a washing machine, but this does calculate both goods and services produced. So even if somebody is working at a company that provides a service, even if you can't see that thing, it is still calculated in the US GDP. The next one is that it only accounts products which are currently being produced. It does not count products which were produced in the past. So if we are measuring GDP of this particular year, it's only going to count products that were produced within this year and not used products. Used products are never counted in GDP because we only want to count each product once. So it is counted the very first time a consumer buys it. And then from there, if it's resold on a website like eBay or at a Goodwill or a thrift store, those sales are not counted. Even though they're technical market transactions, used products are not counted. Remember, we don't want to double count. We only want to know how much stuff is being produced. So we did not have to reproduce that product for it to be resold. GDP also only measures things that were produced within the borders of a country. So if we're looking at the US's GDP, we're trying to calculate how much production is happening within the borders of the United States. Now, it does not matter if it is being produced by American citizens or foreign citizens. It does not matter if the company in the United States is owned by an American person or a foreigner. So just as an example, Toyota is a Japanese company. They make most of their vehicles in Tennessee. So that would count, the production is happening in the US. So that would count towards the US's GDP. If an American company had a factory in Japan, it would count towards Japan's GDP. And then GDP is also calculated for a specific period of time. Typically every quarter, the country posts this number. And then, of course, you can calculate it for a year as well. But GDP is calculated in real time. So as these things are produced, they go to market and people purchase them. Then it's calculated as the price of the product is when somebody purchases it. The official numbers are published monthly, quarterly, and yearly. And then sometimes you have to go back and adjust the numbers because maybe a product, they thought it was going to sell for $100, but then after they realized that it was on sale. So, they add $89 to GDP. And so they do have to go back and revise and republish the numbers regularly.